That is a good question. I put on the spot.
All right, everybody, let me.
What's invisible and smells like a carrot?
What's that?
Bunny rabbit.
A what?
I was going to say bunny rabbit, but they're not invisible, are they?
Close. A bunny fart.
Oh.
All right, guys. Welcome everybody to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Emily Gomer and am a podcast assistant here, and excited to bring you another episode of Revolutionize Your Marketing with John Petros that I do here every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern. And everybody's welcome to join us. I'm talking all about marketing or anything connected with marketing and getting yourself out there and so on. But yes, with nothing, we got a great crew here. So nothing further ado, I am going to bring in John to kick us off today. So welcome, John.
Hello, Emily, and thank you. Welcome to everybody who's listening, live streaming, or listening on the recording, or people that we actually have in studio today, which is a first. This is actually going to be an exciting and a very exciting podcast today. I have a special guest today, Taylor Bowden, who is an inspiring public speaker. So come on in here, Taylor.
Thank you, sir. I really do appreciate you letting me be on this show, and I'm super thrilled to kind of explain my ideas, how I believe that self-mastery is actually the key to any success possible. First, we have to learn how to master the brain before we master external things, maybe like careers, school, relationships, and the list just continues. So I do appreciate you allowing me to be on your show.
Welcome. Why don't we start off with letting everybody know who you are, where you're from, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, I would be happy to explain that. So my journey started off kind of rough, to be honest. But the thing is, I found that failure is just part of life. And if you avoid failure, then you're also avoiding your success. So I had a very tough childhood. I went through a dark path in my life. I had things done to me that was not what I was planning to happen. And so I just decided to build the inner strength. But it took me a very long to visualize that. But as I visualized that the mind is able to strengthen you even in your physical world, it allowed me to see other possibilities, allowed me to know that there can always be a better tomorrow than there was the day before. So just through all my dark times, it just built up. It's a perspective that I guess I forged into me because of I was tired of negativity. I was tired of being unproductive. I was tired of procrastinating. I was tired of looking at my dreams, visualizing them in my head and in my dreams, but not letting them be reality. And so I just found that self-mastery is the key to unlock anything, any success that is not beyond physics. Obviously, we have limits, and that's basically physics, but everything else is achievable. And the equation that I believe that I created, is time multiplied by effort equals achievement. So if you have a lot of time but less effort, you're going to require more time to achieve something. And then on the other end, if you have a lot of effort, it decreases the time so you can actually achieve what you want. So one of the greatest achievements that I've had is being an author, because I love writing. I think writing is actually my very best talent, the talent that I'm best at, that I know that can produce way beyond the average person. And so I created The Valued Leader, a book for everybody to understand leadership in a different way. a leadership book that teaches you the perspective of a leader, how to adapt leadership into your life, and teaching you goals, how to manage those, and how to set proper goals through proper expectations.
Interesting. Sounds like a really interesting book. How can people get the book?
Yeah, good question. So the book title is called The Valued Leader. My name is Taylor Bowden. So by searching The Valued Leader by Taylor Bowden on Amazon, they're able to buy the book and get it shipped to them within just a few days. And I might be biased when I say this, but there's a lot of really good information in it. There's a lot of things that are kind of viewed or written in a different way, allowing you to understand leadership in a different way just as well.
Good. Sounds like an interesting book that I might have to get myself. But, see, I do book promotions too. I don't have a problem with it. All comes under marketing. But I understand you went through a lot, which brought all this into mind. How's people been responsive to it?
So responsive to the story that I have or responsive to my book?
Responsive to the book.
Okay. So I believe that any role, any leadership role in a job, whether it be a sales team leader, a marketing team leader, any type of leader role, manager, GM, assistant manager, it requires a lot of quality leadership. So why I think my book is not just good for people that are wanting to develop leadership, I also think it's good for those leadership roles in jobs and careers, like the one I listed earlier. So I believe that after reading this book, in the terms of marketing, you'll be able to understand how you can set proper goals. It also has a chapter that talks about risk, that everything in life has risk. Things happen unexpectedly, and sometimes it makes your circumstance really bad. It makes it a very difficult circumstance due to some unknown risk that just arrived out of nowhere, creating a possible disaster crisis. So in my book, it kind of talks about that, but it also helps you prepare for those risks. Now, when we bring this term back to marketing, especially digital marketing, that there's going to be a lot of things that we have to expect, we have to plan for, we have to set goals for. But with any goal that we set, we have to have a reasonable expectation for it. Because if I set a goal that I want to be a billionaire by tomorrow, that doesn't make sense. So my book teaches relevant goals and how to manage those goals. And then back in a marketing term or environment, it allows you to create that marketing strategy so you can continue progressing, but not stretching yourself out and actually obtaining those results you're looking for.
Yeah. So I hear a lot of people, especially nowadays, saying, yeah, I have that one big goal that you're shooting towards, but create these smaller goals step by step as you're going through too, which makes it more manageable than just going for that one big goal at the end.
Indeed.
Yeah. And a lot of you millionaires and billionaires, that's exactly what they do. They have a master goal in mind, but that's where it is in mind. And they just keep these smaller goals to progress up to it. And when they get to that master goal that they have, they simply create a bigger one. And that's how a lot of them got to where they are today. And I've been surprised over the last couple of years how many business owners don't even have a goal. They're just in the day-by-day process. That's the kind of people I think that book would be very helpful to, too.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Getting smaller businesses and mom and pop places interested in getting that book is, I think, would be one of the key things.
Yeah.
And then as they follow those concepts and are able to build their business bigger, other people will then look at them and say, hey, how did you do that so fast? And then refer them to the book. One of the cheapest ways of marketing, word of mouth.
Yeah. 100%. So there's 5 major traits that my book covers in the goal setting, at least. And I'm going to actually flip through my book because I'll be honest, I don't have it memorized. But by the way, this is how the title or the cover page looks like. So if you ever do decide to look it up on Amazon, it's a really pretty cover, probably standing out. But anyways, the 5 major traits for developing strong goals is number 1, examining all of your previous experiences of accomplishments and failures. The reason why you do that before you set a goal is because if you think about all the things you failed at, and I'll speak for myself, I've failed probably more times than I've won. But without that failure, I would have never won in eventually, it would have took me forever to win without failing. Is pretty much what I'm saying. So when you set a goal, you want to set it on your failures and your wins. And you want to keep it kind of in between those, because if you're failing on something dramatically and you exceed or you plan a goal that exceeds your failure by too much, you may continue to fail trying to achieve that goal. Like I said, failure is definitely part of it, but you want to also the momentum. There is a emotional or a hormone balance of creating goals and achieving goals, because if you set a super, super high goal and you're not able to achieve it, or you're taking very slow progress, it's going to actually ruin your emotional side. You're actually going to have hormones fighting against it, creating cortisol in your body and mind, preventing you to actually surpass the stress that you probably feel trying to accomplish a good goal. So you always have to kind of manage your goals through your accomplishments and failures. Trait number 2 is how big the desire is within and how fast you want to achieve your desire. Now, this is very important, because if you have something you desire and you want to achieve it fast, then you're going to put in a lot more effort, which decreases the time. Going back to my equation, time multiplied by effort equals achievement. So you always have to keep in mind that if your desire is weak, to accomplish the goal, then at least set a smaller goal. Or actually set the goal to create a stronger desire within so you can accomplish a bigger goal. Those are just 2 of my recommendations. And then the third one is knowing your limits of what can be achieved now and what is unlikely or hard to achieve in the moment. Now, we all have different resources. We all have different relationships and connections through networking and all the different connections we possibly can have. So it seems difficult if you want to have let's say a marketing goal. You want a very high-end marketing goal, maybe like increasing your lead generation from 10,000 to 50,000. You're going to at least need some specific resource to get you there, whether it be networking or money to invest into getting more leads. So keep in mind the resources that you have before you actually make a goal, because I can make a goal to have a lot of real estate, but if I make that goal without the proper resources, how likely is that goal to happen? So instead of making a goal for getting property, make a goal to get more resources, then from there make a goal to get more property, or whatever the case. I'm not a real estate person either. I'm just giving examples. So, John, what do you think about the 3 traits, the 3 out of the 5 traits that I mentioned so far?
They're, they're right on, actually. Yeah, like I've heard people say, and a failure is not really a failure. A failure is a lesson learned, which is a step forward. If you failed or made a mistake once, you know not to do it that way again.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Denzel Washington has, I think I said his name right, Denzel Washington has some of the most amazing quotes, in my opinion, or ones that relate to me better than any other motivational speaker. And one of them is to fail forward or to fail fast. Because without that failure process, you're not learning. You're not really understanding how to convert a failure into a win or into a success or even into profit. I mean, I wasted a lot of money investing into different things, but I'm going to actually go back on what I said because I'm changing the word to waste into learning. I learned from spending a lot of money into investments that haven't profited. Was it a waste? In my perspective, it was. The reason why is because it taught me something. It refined who I was, and it refined my understanding on how to go about investing. And so, to me, I may have lost a lot of money, but I'm gonna replace that word with lost into investing into learning on myself. And that's how people become successful: is they invest in them own selves to learn, whether it be a negative or a positive, with profit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Did you want to cover the last 2, or you want to keep people in suspense to get the book?
No, you know what? I'll definitely want to cover the last 2, 4, and 5. But I do want to create some suspense afterwards. Now that you mentioned it, I like the idea. But okay, so
You have to keep wanting more.
yeah, I'm hoping that they listen to these 5 traits and then want to read the whole book themselves. You know, that's kind of my goal of explaining it. And I put this price at a very low price because, yes, I kind of do want to make money off it, but I want people to understand the value behind this book. It's a very valuable book for a very cheap price that can teach you a lot. 85, 90 pages or something like that. You can read in about an hour and a half. And through the hour and a half of reading, your perspective will change on how you view leadership goals and how you view risk. And that change might actually help you not just to become a better leader, but to become a better you. Because we all should have goals, but if we don't all have goals, we all have risk that is involved in our lives. There will be risk that we all take, whether it be a small risk or a big risk. So going back to my 4th trait, which is recognizing all reasons behind intentions, motives, and desires. Now, you may be asking why that is important. What is your motive of accomplishing a goal? What if there was a guy named, I'm not going to say any specific names because I'm just creating a random scenario, but a person wanted a goal to receive, I don't know, a business income through generating leads. But what's his motive behind it? Let's say in this scenario, he's about to lose his house. So now, since he has the motive to save his house, to save his survival within the house instead of becoming homeless, that's going to increase your effort. And that's why it's important to understand your motives. Because if your motive is very survival dependent, then I definitely recommend to go all in. no matter how difficult it might be, I recommend not to invest a lot of money, but to invest a lot of time and effort so you can make sure that you can keep your survival within that house instead of being homeless in this scenario. So I just listed a random scenario that came up to my brain, but I feel like it's a good way to explain that if you have a very survival dependent motive or desire to accomplish a goal, then you're going to have to spend a lot of effort. That is just all it is. One of my favorite people to refer to, kind of similar with this, is Alex Ramonzi. He was pretty much thousands of dollars in debt, about to lose his house, which he was living in a gym, but I guess I guess I can consider it's a house. And so he went full force. He pushed the pedal 100 miles per hour or more. And what happened was he was able to save his business, but now he's a multi-millionaire. So to understand your motives behind a goal, to understand your desires behind a goal, will give you a meter of how much effort and time you want to spend on it. So that's why I think it's important. Then the last one is to recognize.
I think he froze.
All right, John, maybe we can take this opportunity to do our inserted network program, a little bit of way to apply what he was just talking about. We have Misty Henkel here, a sales trainer, and she's doing a fun thing next week. And she has a goal, and she's applying some interest to achieve something here. And we'll let Misty describe it. And then we're going to enter into some demonstration. And then, John, if this is okay, we can do that and then let you get back to Taylor, provided, you know. All right, let's clue Taylor in. Taylor, is it okay if you, are you able to hold on to your thought about the last one and then let us do a little segment we're doing here and then come back and bring in your last one?
Yeah, that would be awesome. I definitely have these thoughts in my brain, so I can definitely hold them on.
All right, so John, keep track of that. We got the one last point here, and we'll tie it all together. But Misty, explain to the group and our audience here, what do you have going on? As far as, if I got this right, this
What's
is next.
the goal? Here's the goal, right?
Yeah.
The goal is that I get on TV for watermelon skiing. That's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, right? So I moved to a town 3 years ago, 1,200 in American terms, 800 miles away from family. Simon said that our town was our city that we lived in too expensive, so we found a cheaper place for us to live in, a house, right? So we've moved 800 miles away from friends and family to a place where there's 8,000 people, and every 2 years they have a watermelon festival and they feature watermelon skiing. Now this is the most exciting thing that you can ever watch. Here it is. Picture this. Picture a black slip and slide that goes the width of a football oval, right? And it's covered in crushed watermelon and water. Person is at one end with a watermelon on each foot and a crash helmet. They hold on to a water skiing tow rope and then they get dragged to the other end. And the goal is to be standing up where you're at the other end. Now, I've only seen one person, so I witnessed this 2 years ago, and it's been 2 years I've been waiting to do this. The first group that do it, they have like a showcase of it on the Friday night. So it's going to be Valentine's Day this year. They have a showcase on the Friday night, but then the watermelon skiing competition is at lunchtime the next day on the Saturday. I don't want to go into the competition. Here's the goal. I don't want to go into the competition. It's literally 100 degrees every day out here where I live. I don't do sun, even though I'm quite tanned. Like, I don't do sun if I can help it. So there's no way in the world I'm standing around out on a football field in the middle of the day. But at 6 o'clock at night, when the shadows have just gently started to come across, well, it's still 1,000 degrees. It's not screaming hot sun. And that's when the TV show, that's when the news and the weather report, everything shows up. And they call for volunteers to just sort of showcase what it's going to look like the next day. And I witnessed this 2 years ago, but I was wearing a brand new white watermelon T-shirt, and I've just gone, I never buy myself a new t-shirt. Now that I've got one, I don't want to stain it first day, so I'm not going to do it. But it's been playing on my mind for 2 years going, I could have done it. So in the meantime, I've spent 2 years, Kurt and I have been talking about this on and off, going, I don't need to train until just, beforehand, but what does it take to be a watermelon skier and stand up? Because most people get dragged on their stomach or their back. They're still holding onto the tow rope as they get dragged through the watermelons. But I've seen one guy go for the full end, and not only did he ski it, near the end, he turned around and with one hand waved to the crowd. Now, I've tested this out with just soapy water on a slip and slide in the backyard, kids holding a rope on each side and just towing me to the other end. They didn't run fast enough. However, we've been practicing this and trying this out, but I've thought, maybe water skiing would be a good idea. We have water skiing, 10 miles away from here. But I've got Kurt over in Wisconsin, and I'm here in Australia, and I've gone, and he said, yeah, I can teach you some water skiing. He said the first lesson is always on dry ground anyway, so that's the goal. I'm going to get a lesson on water skiing, and then I'm going to cross-transfer it into watermelon skiing come Friday next week.
All right, Misty. So are you going to stand up with me? We're going to go through our demonstration.
All right.
All right. So Misty, they have a ski type handle. Is that right? But it's
It's an actual water ski. It's a water ski rope, and it's hooked up to like an electric winch. Yeah.
All right. So the key is the saying goes, if you look down, you fall down. So you want to pick something that's out there, like in the crowd, some tent or something out there that keeps your chin up. So keep looking up trees, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. And then now you've got your arms all the way out. So if you were truly in the water, that would be great. But they've got you on a slip and slide with watermelons on your feet, right?
Yeah, correct.
And they don't make you hold your arms straight, do they?
No, they just say, hold on and get to the end. So my knowledge, they just go, all right, ready to go.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do, Misty, is take your hand and pick one hand to go underhand. Okay?
Yeah.
Now with the hand that's your underhand, bend your elbow and bring it into your belly.
With that hand.
Yeah. So you have your hands together.
Yeah.
Good balance.
Yeah.
And make sure that your shoulders are straight above your hips.
Okay.
And your hips are straight above your heels.
Okay. Yep.
And then with the foot, the toes of the foot that is overhand, your overhand hand, that same side, bring your toes about 6 to 8 inches forward.
Just of that first foot.
Yeah.
So it's my left hand.
Yeah, you're
My
gonna
left hand is my overhand. So you're saying with my left foot to put it a little bit in front. With my left foot.
Yeah. Your left toes are like 6 to 8 inches forward from your right toes. So you have a staggered start and you're looking up. So the idea is that you're using this kind of position to make sure you don't get just pulled over like you see a lot of the people doing.
Yeah.
And then, so the idea is when they're going to give you the pull, you want to move your hips you want to feel like you're going to move your hips 3 inches forward. So when they're going to start, you go, oh, you're going to move your hips forward, your chin up, and you crouch down to make sure that those melons are moving. Because if you don't get those melons moving, it's going to be a fulcrum and you're going to tip over.
Yeah.
So the idea is you want to be on your heels. So when you feel that watermelon, you want to get the weight to the back edge of your foot and your heel. So that it gives a little inside that watermelon, it'll give a little push. To get those watermelons going, because they have to move with you or you're going to fall over. So the idea is if you feel a challenge, just drop down about 4 inches, and then that'll flex all your muscles like going
Okay.
in a fetal position,
Uh-huh.
but you're only doing like 4 inches. It's not a big deal. It just gets that muscle flex
Okay.
that you're gonna have your core strength
Yep.
pull together.
Okay.
And then the
Okay.
idea is just go naturally, just freeze and just naturally let your feet slide the way you feel balanced. So
Yeah.
the idea is like without watermelons on,
Yeah.
if you jump up and you jump down, that's your strongest position to go for a ride. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's what you're seeking about 8 yards down the run. You want to
Uh-huh.
be in that position with no watermelons on. You jump up, jump down, and you picture yourself in that position.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to go. If they took you a football field, you'd
Yeah.
make it all the way because you're in that position.
Okay, so I've got a question. Should I practice squats beforehand? Should
If
I
you
be doing
can.
squats like just in general?
Yeah, any sports, volleyball, even running, anything, because the body is the same. Athletic performance is the same. It's your same bones, same muscles, same ligaments, same core strength, same
And
everything.
for the whole way, I keep my underhand hooked into my waist.
Exactly. The idea is it's like when you're swinging a bat for a home run, it's the same strength and kinetic principles, kinesthetics. It's the same body motion across these different sports. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you why this is really good, right? This is going to help with the goal. Is because, how I put my hands out straight, I was actually thinking more in terms of trapeze. I went to a trapeze school once about 20 years ago. Was at a hotel with a girlfriend on a holiday, and they had a trapeze school out the front on the lawn. I'll give it a go. I mean, how hard can it be? You're hooked up to ropes. I mean, nobody dies, right? Anyhow, you climb up this massive height, and they tell you that you stand there and you have your arms stretched as far as possible, keep everything straight, you hold on to it, and then you step off and you swing. First time I did it, okay, that was scary, no problems, but I was fine, and I landed. Then I had to land on the net, get off, go back up. Second time I did it, my arms weren't straight out. I had them bent. And when I stepped off, the weight to straighten up my arms from that high up, that little bit where that was my whole body, took the weight right there at my elbow, ripped my hands out. I went down very fast onto the net. The guy that was there to hold me, he went up very fast on the road. And they told me after it was because my arms were bent. And it ripped all the skin off my hands. I still had another one to go, but it ripped all the skin off my hands, and it was all based off that. I was thinking water skiing was the same thing.
Yeah,
That
water
it's
skiing. Yeah, Misty, water skiing in a lake, in a body of water is the same thing. You're absolutely correct. But I'm giving you principles like when we have a starting dock and we're going to do a trick, a stunt off of the dock. Well, I just taught you how we do a sliding dock off of our pier. And
That's perfect.
how we make it off the dock. I taught you how to do a dock.
Oh, that is so perfect. All right, now I understand. That is so perfect because, I would have done a straight start and now like straight on start. I can see now how that throws everybody out because it's not the same principles as trapeze.
Exactly.
It's a balancing, and I have been, and when I was practicing at home with the wet slip and slide and the tow ropes and the kids, I did find I had to hold my arms in more rather than to get my feet in the right spot. But that's much better to hold my elbow like riding hard. So, all right, so that's the goal. So if we go to Taylor, right? So that's my goal, watermelon skiing. I've now got a lesson on it. I'm mentally now pulling that together. I think that's where you were coming from. It's like, think about the goal. What is it you want to achieve? What are the steps? And mentally pull it together before it comes to fruition. Think about it. Is that on track? Am I on track?
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, because everything not everything, but a lot of the things that we want to accomplish become a goal. But some of the goals that we have may be more of an end-term goal or a long-term goal. So we have to kind of station them. Like maybe your next goal is maybe going on a competition through your skiing stuff, or maybe just skiing once a month. But
I might love this so much that I go into the competition the next day with the plan to win, because now I've done the training on how to do the ground start, you know.
exactly.
I might have that covered completely. Whereas I think the goal of the crowd or my neighbours are to turn up and watch me get taken to hospital. A couple of ripped off toenails as well as some other things. I'm like, it'd be fun.
Misty,
My biggest concern is that Simon will make me walk home afterwards, because they may not hose you off at the end and he won't let me in his car.
Misty, I have a message.
Yeah.
Just for you.
Take the leap. I reckon.
Take the leap. You can do it.
I reckon. Yeah. Okay.
And
Excellent.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned the risk of maybe hurting yourself, because in this book it talks about risk, that our goals can definitely have risks to them. And so we have to kind of keep that in mind as we make goals too, and how we go about life.
Yeah. Here's how I keep my, can I tell you how I keep my risk factor in mind in regards to goals? Like, let's take this one, right? I'm a 48-year-old mom, you know, wife, got 2 dogs, you know, like this, I'm busy, right? And I've got 2 kids, they're only 13 and 14. It's not like they've left home. So my risk management is called insurance. I am personally insured for breaking a whole leg off and losing it somewhere in the crowd at watermelon skiing. If I end up in a wheelchair, I'm insured. And truthfully, nobody's ended up in a wheelchair. They've been doing this for 25 years. So, but that's my risk management. I figure risk management I'm kind of covered. But yes, look at the risks. And I've had 2 years to think about what will happen if I break a leg. What will happen if I, you know, break an arm, crack a rib? How is that going to impact day? So I've had 2 years to think about the risk management as well. So yeah, I do. Yeah, risk is good. Like, it's important to look at the risk, right? But then what's on the other side of the risk?
Exactly. Yeah, for the most part.
Making it the news. So
I'm not sure if you heard mine and John's conversation earlier, but failure is just part of life. You cannot avoid failure. And if you try your best to avoid failure, first of all, you will still see failure. Failure will still arrive in your life. And second of all, there is not many, or at least not many successful outcomes that aren't between attempting failure and success.
Well, you can't get good until you practice, right? So you're going to
Exactly.
fail more than you succeed, because you can't get good until you practice. So yeah, I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's part of the process, right? Falling down is part of the process.
And I love how you brought up the word process, because I use that all the time. I use it in the phrase, I'm not sure if I'm the one that created this phrase. I'm actually unlikely, or it's unlikely that I did, but I use the phrase all the time because I just think it's appropriate and relevant. And that is, to want a specific outcome, you must accept the process. The thing is, that process can be overwhelming and consuming at times. But if you want to go through to the outcome, you must first go through the process. And so we all want our desires and we all want to accomplish our goals. But the question is, are you willing to accept the process to achieve it?
Have you ever watched the show Lucifer? It's on Netflix.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, so Lucifer, Lucifer is you know, God's youngest son, and he's a fallen angel, right? He was one that gave the apple to Eve it upset God when he said, go and see the apples. As a result, he got, in his view, kicked out of home by his father and sent to hell to look after, the depraved people for the rest of eternity, right? Anyhow, he decides to go to LA and go on a bit of a holiday from hell. And while he finds himself there, he's a nightclub owner, he's having a wonderful time. Anyhow, along the way, it's a police show, and along the way, he goes to therapy. And Dr. Linda, his therapist, is trying to help him, and he's, getting the wrong idea. But there's this one moment in one of the seasons where he's discovered something and it's hurt his feelings. Whereas the devil, he doesn't really have feelings to hurt, but he's becoming more humanesque, and he's now got hurt feelings. And he's gone in and said, I just make the pain go away. And she said, I can't. You have to go through the pain to get the understanding on the other side. You can't avoid it. You can't get around it. You can't go over it. You have to go through it and feel it so that then you have the learning on the other side. And while it was against it, you watch the process unfold. But it was very, very insightful to watch and go, oh, yeah. Anyone that watches it sits there and goes, oh, yeah, there's no way around this. And you have to go through it. It's like the process. You have to go through it to get the result at the other end. I like it.
Yeah, I believe.
Before we
We
get
all
into
have to-
something else,
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I think before we get into something else, I think Dr. Karen had a comment she wanted to mention. She's going to be leaving in a few minutes. So,
Thank you, John.
can we
Yeah.
bring Dr. Karen in?
Hi there. Yeah, I love the conversation. I work with those concepts myself. First of all, there is no such thing as failure because it's your first attempt in learning.
Yeah.
Okay, and so I like looking at it that way. I work with positive attitude and affirmations and everything. That's one of the things that I do. And so we have an option. We can learn from our mistakes or our quote unquote failures, or a lot of people, they keep wanting to do the same thing over and over again. And you know the definition of that, right?
Insanity.
Insanity. Yeah. And of course, that's kind of why our world is the way it is. They don't know how to make the adjustments. The conversation is fantastic. And Misty, you're right. We have to go through the pain in order to get to the other side. So I'm a holistic, I work with holistic health, okay? All naturally. And so that everything starts with the emotions. And they're usually emotions from childhood that carry into adulthood. And some of us have had very painful emotions. And we want to stop that pattern as we get older, right? Because we've just had enough. So what we do, what I do, and many other people, I have a lot of friends who do this as well, clear the emotions. But in order to clear the emotions, we have to remember those incidents. Not like a flashback where you really, lose it, but just identify it and then you can clear the emotions that are creating the charge on your nervous system. And actually the body heals from that. So it's really a beautiful process, but you have to go through the process, Misty, like you were saying.
You have to go through the process.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love the discussion.
Yeah.
Kurt put something on here, so I'm going to have to leave in just a minute, but I want to hear what you have to say, Taylor.
Yeah. I think what you mentioned is beautiful because we do have to learn how to escape patterns that always lead to a bad result. And I also want to relate to how you help people or how you possibly may have helped yourself, because I did not have it easy. I'm actually, when you look in my past, which I don't have much time to go over my past, but if you look in my past, you would see that I have every reason to complain and be negative. But everything's a mindset. Everything is self-mastery. So I can either be swallowed up with all these bad things that happened to my past, or I can accept them, use them as a lesson, refine who I am, and become something greater than most because I was able to utilize my own suffering and pains. And I think it's incredible when you have a self-mastery to actually do so. It's not easy, but you have to, first of all, learn how to escape common patterns that lead to negative paths. Second of all, you're going to have to be patient with yourself because any type of change will require patience before you adapt to that change. It's a stimulus because your brain creates neurotransmitters and you have to just kind of replace them, make them stronger so you can change your habits. And so I think that's really incredible.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it was wonderful meeting all of you. I've enjoyed the discussion, and I have to hop off to another meeting now.
There's one thing I would like to ask. Would you be able to get my contact information? I would love to maybe chat with you. I'm kind of creating my public speaking career, and I would be happy to provide you like a virtual meeting for free, just trying to get my name out there if that's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So is Kurt our common connection?
So I meant John, and that's the connection.
Okay, John, can you facilitate that?
Yeah,
Okay.
I will get back to you and give you his information.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Doctor. You enjoy your rest of your day, and I really appreciate our conversation.
Thank you. You too. Take care,
Thank you.
everybody.
I think Elizabeth has a question out there for you, or a comment. Come on in, Elizabeth.
Oh,
Here I come. Hey,
welcome,
Taylor,
welcome.
you are an amazing young man and you are very inspirational. I too grew up in a very trying years. I would love to connect with you. I have a podcast, Home is Where the Biz Is, because all things start at home and end at home. And I don't know what's up with my voice today, so I apologize, but I really, really would love, my information is in the chat already up above. But I see now John and I have connected already, and I can see that between you and your book and your mind, your heart, and Emerson, that the four of us could probably do something really amazing. And I have another fifth person that I'd like to bring into this because he designed a goal assessment achievement tool that your brain is just going to love. And the two of you, when I hook the two of you up, are just going to be your two peas in a pod as far as what you may have gone through as young men, similar enough. And I'm looking forward to putting you together. And this man, when he was younger, decided not to go to school at the age of 14, and he put himself next to the people he needed to put himself next to identify his genius like you have. They saw it, and he ended up training. If you worked in finance on the Eastern Seaboard for a corporation, Fortune 50 or higher, you were trained by him. And that and psychology are his two passions. And so I look forward to it. And John, if you could make sure he gets that information. And I too have to bounce off, but I am so blessed for staying to hear you and appreciate Kurt and all of you for being here and all the work you do.
Thank you, Elizabeth. I'm looking forward to talking on your podcast too.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm honored.
You're welcome. You enjoy
Thank
your
you.
day and be safe.
Bye for now, everyone.
Bye.
May I jump in real quick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Come
So,
on.
Mr. Bowden, am I saying it correctly? Please forgive me if I'm not. I'm definitely
No.
feeling it. Is it?
No worries at all. No, actually, it's Bowden, but to
Bowden.
be honest, when people see it, they always assume Bowden. So no worries, it's normal.
No, I want to put some respect on your name. So, Mr. Bowden, Mr. Bowden, I'm really feeling your passion. All the way from New York, listening in. Sharing your writing takes courage, and I admire that in you. You taking your experiences and keeping true to yourself while creating a resource for others is just to be encouraged. You know, never give up on yourself. Continue to keep building your inner strength and keep writing and writing. It's like you have so much inside of you, and I know that a lot of people could benefit from it through your experience, which was one of your teachers. You can help others, you know. And I like when you said time multiplied by effort equals achievement. That's something that stuck out to me because it's really true. And I just wanted to ask you, so do you have like a targeted audience? And also, while you were writing, did you have like a support system? What was the process like? Like getting your actual what you were gonna say in order?
Yeah, so let me answer question number one, then I'll go to two. To be honest, I know I'm probably doing this wrong, but I don't have a specific audience because I believe my book can talk to everybody. And that makes my job a little bit harder because they're like, why would I read this book if it's not talking directly to me? Well, it's because it's able to help anybody and everybody how they perceive the world or perceive leadership or perceive their career. So it's really hard for me to narrow down the audience because I just think it's helpful for everybody. I really do. But when I do get asked this question, if I can narrow it down, it's for people to develop leadership skills and principles. And so that's not even a very specific audience, but that's kind of the best that I can get.
That's
And then
good. I
number,
understand that. It sounds like it's a universal book. It's for anyone 8 to 88. So I get what you're saying. I appreciate that.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. Then for the second question is, I have a great support system. I really do. I think my grandparents are the most amazing people, and they've been supporting me, helped me, motivated me, inspired me in many ways. So I definitely have a support system. But the thing is, even if I didn't have a support system, if I had that mindset without it, the mindset that I currently have, then I know I would be able to create my own support because the thing is, you either have it really easy in your moment, but really hard later on in the future, or if you want to flip that around, you have a really hard life to make your life easier in the future. So pretty much you technically have two choices, unless if you get really, really lucky, which happens time to time. Like maybe somebody wins the lottery and they have it easy. But for the people that aren't very, 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 very lucky like that, they have two options. Make your life difficult in the moment so it's easy in the future, or make your life easy in the moment but difficult in the future. And when I mean easy in the moment, where you're not being productive, you're not utilizing your youth or your time before you're 80, 90 years old, because life is unpredictable. We cannot predict what happens next, but we can prepare for it. Everything's preparable, even though what we prepare to go against may not be what we're expecting, or it may not even be the best preparation. However, it makes the load lighter. Did I answer both of your questions?
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for asking. I'm always happy to share the experience and my support because that's actually what made me is just realizing that it's all a mental thing. How we perceive life is mentally. And the thing is, if you never hear about my story, then you're probably going to question my self-mastery techniques. So I think it's always good to just learn from your experience. And that's how I will summarize that. John, I think you're on mute.
Sorry, I had noise in the background, so I muted. Phil, are you still out there, Phil? And do you have a question or comment to throw in? There we go. There's Phil. How are we doing, Phil?
The discussions are interesting, very important. Goal setting is what our youth need, and it's something that corporations and organizations do very well. It's what families really need help with. Usually they're on their own agendas and they're not working as a team to help each other accomplish their goals. So this is something that I help with and do for the community. I have a lot of experience in the business world, and the messages that you're sending are very specific to goal setting that could be applied to any individual, which is very important. And the earlier they start, the more productive they will be in life, the more they'll have strategies associated with their objectives. They can't think of all the strategies that are required, so one of the goals should be that they're connecting with experts to help them accomplish their goals and dreams. So that's something I would add to it in the conversation, because you don't have to do this alone. And society generally says to everyone, you got to figure this out by yourself. I say, no, you don't need to figure it out by yourself. You can get help and support from people who can provide you guidance, especially when your brain doesn't fully develop until you're 25. So you're at a disadvantage before you're 25. A lot of emotions, a lot of immaturity, a lot of cognitive skills not there yet. So if I was 16 again and I visited myself as I was older, I needed to surround myself with people older than 25 to know that I'd be at a bigger advantage. But great conversations. Keep it going. Really important. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. I really do appreciate that. I also agree that the youth needs to prioritize how they view the future, because when I was young, my perspective of the future, it's not that it didn't exist, but I wasn't really focused on it. Like, I never even thought about the choices that I was making and how they would affect my future. So if I would have gone back when I was like 18, I think you mentioned, I would have told myself, well, guess what, Taylor? Your future is going to continue for years and years, decades and decades. So please be conscious about what you're deciding to do, and please visualize how your choices can actually affect that. And I think one of the things that I feel deeply that inspires me and motivates me to talk to people is the fact that I want to help the youth so they don't make the same mistakes that I've made. I want patterns to break, negative patterns to break, and create great patterns in kids' lives. Because I know that with strong patterns, strong habits, and strong perspective, those kids that are suffering so much will be able to accomplish so much more. Because I believe peace is not based on your circumstances, based on your perspective.
Excellent. Are you involved in? It sounds like you'd be interested in. So I attend career days for students at high schools, and I'm not sure if you're involved in the local community to provide that guidance, because when I get in front of them, I'm the old guy. But if you get in front of them, you're the younger guy, and you can have actually a bigger impact than I can, because there's this level of fear of the future. And when an adult tells, students, providing them valuable nuggets of information, it doesn't necessarily resonate as it would be if I was closer in age with them. So my question to you is, I'm in New York, so I can invite you to those high school career fairs, but I don't think you're in New York. That's my guess.
No, sir, I'm not in New York. However, I'm always okay for virtual meetings, and I am a public speaker. I just started my public speaking career. I really don't have that many speaking gigs yet, and so that with that in mind, that I'm giving a lot of my virtual and in-person things, depending on like if it's local or if they pay for my plane ticket. But at least for virtually, it's completely free. And so it's free trying to get my name out there. And I believe that's a great process. I went through a speaking organization to teach me that. And so, yeah, I mean, I would love to connect with you again and maybe have like a virtual meeting with those students, and maybe I can inspire them like I should have been inspired for myself, you know? So yeah, definitely get my information. I would be happy to reach out and set something up virtually.
Excellent. I'm gonna look you up in on LinkedIn right now.
Yes, sir. It's Taylor Bowden, and I have like a brown vest with a black shirt for my picture.
Wow, there's a lot of Taylor Bowdens.
Crap. Shoot. I have your name written down. Let me send a link to John with my link and other information. And maybe if that's easier for you, we can reach out through that.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a shot at it again. I was in the middle of something in LinkedIn to send a message, so it wouldn't allow me to select all results. So I'm gonna try this again.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
So how long? So have you had many speaking engagements in person?
Well, I've had, I believe, about 2. So I started this like kind of late last year, so 25. So it's only been about 3 months, 2-3 months. But to be honest, if you look at a spiritual aspect, I'm always speaking in church. Like I go up to the stage and talk to sometimes hundreds of people sometimes. And I do that almost every month.
Outstanding. Yeah, so you can certainly reach out to, there's a lot of parent organizations, and there's so many different community organizations that service youths. So this is something that you can look into. I know that, so I'm thinking there's local organizations that are very specific to the residents. So if I share that with you, it's not like they're national. So they wouldn't, but you'd have to be in the know of what nonprofit organizations are focusing on youth. So these are the topics that I would look at. Folks who are supporting students who have committed suicide. There are organizations that do that to get in front of this, because suicidal thoughts are really high in youth, more than ever. They really need purpose. And so with your goal setting speaking engagement, that helps them with purpose. Now, they may not know what their goals are, but at minimum, you're telling them that it's really important to set them, so that they can, and then you could, openly help them figure that out. Because that's one of the things I do is I'm presenting them with options. So I treat them like the CEO of their career, and they don't know what their options are. Most people don't know what their options are, but I'm sharing with them a list of lots of subjects and topics, and they're going to tell me what they're interested in learning more about, because they have to make that 12th grade decision. And what do they want to study? What do they want to learn? What do they want to do? And if you're just asking them blindly without giving them options, it's really tough to answer that question. Most people ask, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? That's an unfair question too. You seriously want to hear them respond to the 365 days a year, what they're going to do for the rest of their life, multiplied by 40 years.
Yeah.
So I take things literally. And it reflects, the real question. Like that's part of the other skill set, is what is the best question to ask a student. And you can ask them what their goals are, but if they don't have any, you've got to be able to support that with other questions to identify what their interests are, what they're eager to learn. And here's the list, like, and engage them, because they've never seen the list. And so that's how they explore options. And then I use math to help them rank those things, 1 to 10, which helps them prioritize, because that's something that they don't know and understand either until you say, we have choices. Now, you told me you like 17, things. How are we going to decide which 17 are we going to pursue? We're going to write them. Okay, so cool. All right, so there's organizations that are local within your community, and your church may be aware of those nonprofit organizations that are helping the youth. And then you could do local searches. Meetups are good. You could be looking up at meetups in your local community. Eventbrite is another method of targeting folks that are servicing youth and maybe speaking in front of them. And then you could also set up meetups, virtual meetups, for free to get your name out as well. There's a subscription for Meetup. I think there's a subscription for Eventbrite, but that's another medium where you can invite people. If they register, to be there. If they don't register, that it just passes. But at least you got your name out there. There's a little real estate for Taylor Bowden as it relates to a time and a place where they can meet you. And you're just creating that, that marketing effort to attract them with some of the knowledge that you have. And you can say this in your paragraph that you are looking for students to learn from you, and your attention parents who may be on Meetup and Eventbrite more than students are. Unless you could do the Instagram too and market yourself, and then get followers and tell them, hey, you'll be on Saturday at 9 o'clock.
Well, I really do appreciate
9 o'clock Saturday podcast.
Yeah. Well, I really do appreciate that. Those are some really great resources, and I definitely will look those up. One thing that I thought about, and I don't want to forget, so one good question that you can ask them is, how important is your future? Because to some kids, it's super important for them to live in the moment, to fill their dopamine thoughts or their thoughts with dopamine and satisfy them in the moment. But how important is your future? Because, you can satisfy yourself now, but will that satisfy who you will be in the future?
Yeah, it's a very good question for them to reflect on. And the question would be, do they appreciate that question? Do they understand it fully?
Well, I really do appreciate that. I'm sending John my information to several people, and you will be included in that. Maybe we can collaborate down the road. I would be happy to do that. I'm trying to get my name out there, and I'm sure I can help your audience, and you can help me get my name out there so I can help more people. See, it's just a gigantic chain reaction, and I love how it works. But yeah, we'll definitely link up later too.
You're not Train Cities Fitness, right?
Yes, that's actually me. Yeah,
that's you.
That's
okay.
my online fitness business. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that part. I didn't hear that part, that you were in the fitness world too.
Yeah, I definitely am. I'm trying to help males in their 30s or around their 30s or over their 30s. I guess it doesn't matter, but speed up their metabolism and boost their natural testosterone levels. And so that's another service that I have. However, I try to kind of focus mainly on the public speaking in some degrees, and other degrees kind of focus on that. But yeah.
I would weave them both because they're very relevant. I mean, you want to have fitness goals as well. So you could absolutely use those as examples from a personal well-being perspective. So, and
Yes,
then
sir.
you also get their interest too, because everyone should have health goals.
Yep.
And so it's a nice transition for them and for you to promote your other business too.
Exactly. 100%. And that's kind of why I chose to go these paths. And I guess they're more aligned than I thought, because they do go back and forth. But I feel like my vision is, instead of always going like this, my vision is like this, but I'm trying to focus everything on my vision.
Excellent. John, tell us, when you were a young teenager, what did you have your mindset on what you wanted to do?
Yeah, but of course it's changed.
Tell us, walk us through that John teenager. life, what were you doing and thinking?
When I was a teenager, huh? Well, like every teenager, was partying.
P-A-R-T-Y? Is that what you said, party?
Party and getting in trouble without getting caught, basically.
Yeah.
I had a certain time at night, my parents wanted me in. My father would turn around and lock the back door so I couldn't get in. He'd lock the storm door too. But what he didn't realize is I was the one that put the storm door in. I was smart enough to leave the doorknob side a little bit of play. I just put something in, just popped the storm door open. So yeah, that was kind of how my teenage years were back then.
So you were living in the moment, like
Yeah.
Taylor has been sharing.
Yeah.
Hello, Stan.
Hey, how
Welcome.
you doing, Phil? How's everything? Taylor, hi, John. How you doing?
Welcome
How's
to the
everything
party.
going?
Emily,
Yes, sir.
yeah, glad to be here. Sorry I got in late. I've been having some internet issues, and my wife was just on the phone speaking with Spectrum. They're gonna come out and check and see exactly what the problems are. But right now, we're good.
Nice. I think I had a misconnection too, and
Oh,
so
really?
now I'm just on my what is it? Phone service internet.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, the problem with me is that I got when I have a problem with Spectrum, everything is a problem because I got the house phone on Spectrum, got my telephone on Spectrum, got television on Spectrum. But my wife had, because we were having issues, she decided to get a different carrier, so she was able to call out and connect with them from a different service. You see what I mean? But yeah. But anyway, we're good at the moment.
I mean,
I'm glad.
if you're still here, that's all that matters, right?
That's what matters. That's what matters. There you go.
Exactly. So Stan, when did you get in? When were you able to get in the meeting?
I've actually only got in. I've been in about 5 minutes now.
Oh, okay.
I just came on. Yeah, just came
Popped in
on.
on my screen and let him on. And
Thanks, John. Yep, I just got in just now.
Yeah. Well, would it be okay if I tell you just a few quick things about my leadership book?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so The Valued Leader is a book where it talks about how anybody can have these leadership principles. And the very first chapter is the leadership ladder, because when you think about something that you want to lead, like a specific area or category that you want to be a leader from, you start at the very bottom of the ladder.
Okay.
And that is the case with everything, unless if you're born into a family that has specific roles. And it doesn't have to be necessarily wealth. It could be maybe that they're a leader in their church, a leader in something else. But anyways, most people have a ladder that they have to climb before they're associated as a leader.
Right.
And so that's actually chapter 1 in the book.
Okay.
And it talks about how we can perceive these ladders and how we can climb them efficiently and productively without going back down. And so it also states that after you climb to the top of one ladder, that there will be other ladders to climb. So your journey is an endless thing. And if you stay in one spot, then you're really limiting what you can become.
Okay.
So that's kind of chapter 1. Chapter 2 is goals and expectations. How we have to set goals with a proper expectation. I can't just set a goal that I want to be a billionaire tomorrow. That's not how goals work. So that's like a very, very terrible example, but I just wanted to just kind of prove that.
I get the point.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the book up. I got the book up. The paperback is $13. I was going to get it on Prime. Do you suggest I get it another way?
So you mean The Valued Leader?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, get it on Amazon for sure.
Yeah. Okay, I see it here.
Yep.
Okay. All right. I will get it.
I appreciate that. And please leave me a review, whether it's 1 star to 5 stars, whatever it is, an honest review. Let me know, because that's how I can increase my skill and become a better writer. Because my goal is to write book after book after book until I'm dead.
Sounds great, man. Sounds great.
And then chapter 3 it talks about how everything in life has risk. everything that is happening right now can have a risk involved out of nowhere, something that was completely unexpected. And so in chapter 3, it talks about how risks are always forming, even if they're undercover, that we don't know that they're forming, but all of a sudden, boom, we faced a risk. And sometimes they can set you back way more than we would desire.
Okay.
So we have to always try to manage those. We always have to choose what we're choosing now with the expectation that risks are in front of us. Everything in life, or everybody in life, will face these difficult, unpleasant circumstances. And there will be times that we're set back. But if we prepare for these setbacks, we are set back less. And we're able to full send after we get that solution, or we figured out how to solve that problem. So we have to understand risk. That risk will happen at any random time. Think about maybe a family member, and I hate to kind of bring up the negative side because I'm very positive in my mentality, but think about like a random family member in your life just dying. Sometimes it's unexpected. Sometimes they're just on the road, on the freeway, and some bad driver hits them. Those are just the risks in life, and we have to perceive them a specific way to overcome them.
So Taylor, do you have insurance folks behind you?
Yeah, this is a good time to advertise insurance. 100%.
Hi, gentlemen. I think we run over half an hour of the time.
Oh, shoot.
Okay.
Isn't this
it's been great
this
having
event?
you over here.
Isn't this ongoing?
No, it's not. March 7th will be, though, because that is my birthday, and it is also on a Friday.
Wow, my son's birthday is March 7th.
Ah,
Oh, wow. Happy early birthdays for you, John, and your son, Phil.
well, Phil, you'll have to come on my birthday podcast and bring your son. We can have a party.
I'm sure my son wants to spend the time on his birthday with,
I'm doing
with
an
us.
open concept. So anybody wants
Well-
to pop in and just speak and say whatever.
Well, thank you, John, for letting me come on the show. I really do appreciate that. You're the one that connected me through this, and I really appreciate the connections that I've made. And hopefully I've inspired others. And I'll be honest, I was inspired today from others. So I always like that about life and relationships.
Well, this was the first time I've had this many people on the podcast at the same time. So it was quite interesting. And I want to thank you for coming on and making it so interesting.
I appreciate that, John. I'm definitely happy to be here, and I was happy to spread my message, and hopefully I was able to at least help one person.
All right.
Well,
Emily,
thank you, Taylor. I'm going to definitely get your book.
Thank you, Stan.
Yes, definitely.
Feel free to connect on LinkedIn if you would like to.
I haven't gotten really deep into LinkedIn yet like I need to. So that probably wouldn't be any place I would be going anytime soon. But I am working on it.
Well, I'll give John my email to get to you too, okay?
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right, John, I don't want to
Thank you for
hold
the
you
info,
back
Emily.
anymore.
So before we go, can I show Stan the power of LinkedIn so he sees what he's missing out on, and maybe?
Oh boy, trust me, I know. I know.
you
Go
know.
right ahead, Phil. Go right ahead. I do know. Trust me. I've
Okay, I
set
just
up
want to show you one trick.
and I've been on for quite a while. I just haven't really been active on it. But I've been on LinkedIn for a long time. I just haven't been actively using it.
Oh, okay. So I'll just share with you one feature, and maybe someone else would get value of this too. This is the most powerful activity right here. You click on your connections, and you do a filter. You search with filter. Have you done this before?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, and then you hit 30 connections, and then you see you can access 1 billion people. I'm connected to 1 billion people.
Wow.
I can just send them a quick text, a quick message through LinkedIn. I could connect with them.
Nice.
which is really powerful. And of course, I
Yeah.
could filter who do I want to speak to, what industry, and things like that to narrow it down.
Nice. Okay.
But if you know a name
Mhm.
and they're on here and you
Mhm.
want to connect with them, there is hope.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
All right.
All
Thank you.
right. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody. You all take care. Have a great weekend and be safe, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. And
Thanks.
like I said again, I apologize for being late, but I was just able to get on. But I got a lot in the small amount of time I was on. Thank you so much.
Okay, Emily, take us on out.
Thank you, Taylor and Suzanne and all the others that Misty and all the others that joined us today. Again, that we are here every Friday at 5 o'clock Eastern. Everybody's welcome to join us anytime. And encourage everybody to check out all of our social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and so on. And all the great partners that we're working with, like JStar and the Disability Channel, Mark Starr Transfer Mu, Lawrence Wingate of Wingate Studios, Zach Clinton the Fact Channel, and Lambs of Windows Plants and Podcast. Okay, we're gonna do, but until next time, hope everybody has a safe and productive week and to stay happy.
Thank you, Emily. Thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, Emily's a cool person.